What if I told you that there's a reality where you are a celebrity, or you're famous, or you have 12 kids? I know it sounds bizarre, but there are a level of realities that are out there that are coexisting simultaneously with this one. And that you have the ability to tap into each one of those realities and bring it into this point of focus by doing one thing. Now, before we dive into that, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Jonathan Gray. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to this video. If you are interested in learning more about being a student of life, about creativity, consciousness, all the things that are here to help move you and to help evolve your human spirit, then welcome. Now, before we dive into what it really means to be a quantum jumper, let's talk about where it came from. So quantum mechanics, I'm sure you've heard of it, has been studied for over 100 years. And as scientists began to understand what quantum mechanics was, the more they started scratching their heads and being like, wow, this universe is basically like a fluid, and that it can be changed, it can be altered by just thought alone. And that concept really put the whole scientific community upside down. And it's been like, wow, the world is not solid. We are not living in a world of atoms. We're living in a world of waves and particles. And so this concept of quantum jumping really started forming. And then when around the 60s and 70s, there's this guy named Burt Goldman, and he was part of the whole consciousness movement back then. He worked with Joe Silva. He's one of the people that led the Silva method. And if you're not familiar with that, I'll make a video. That stuff is really fascinating too. But he came up with the idea of quantum jumping and really learning that, hey, all realities are coexisting simultaneously. There's a reality for every thought that you can think of, which is an incredible concept, and it's something that just always fascinated me. So if there's a concept where you feel that maybe you've experienced something before, or you know what it would be like to do something, or maybe you pick something up super quickly, that could potentially be you quantum jumped and you've experienced that and you brought that here. And it's such a cool concept. Now, with quantum jumping, I think when people think about quantum jumping, they think that it sounds kind of intimidating, right? It sounds super scientific. It almost sounds kind of sci-fi. It sounds like something from Star Trek. But what's so cool about this, this is such a simple technique in that you are a master quantum jumper and you don't even realize it. You're so good at quantum jumping, you don't even know that you're doing it. And it's such a simple process. And you're doing it every day by the choices you make about how you shift your reality or perception about something, or maybe you shift your mindset around who you are or how you deal with a situation. Those are quantum jumps. And if you understood how much you do it throughout the day, you'd be like, dude, I'm a master. But the thing is, you're doing it subconsciously, you're doing it reactively. So now it's about how do we really leverage that ability and use it to our advantage to actually create what it is that we want. And that's exactly what I want to share in this video today. Now, quantum jumping is really kind of like the law of attraction, right? In that what you're doing is you're aligning with the vibration of what it is that you want, and through that match of vibration that you start attracting that. It's the same exact thing. And the exact way to go about quantum jumping is very similar to law of attraction. It is about visualization, it's about feeling the reality, and it's about saying it is. And this is a lot of what Neville Goddard talks about too. He's like, you are experiencing the wish fulfilled. The wish fulfilled is the idea that the goal that you've already have, that you're wanting to have, you already have. And that if you experience it now, the quicker it starts becoming in your reality. Now, this is really how it works. What you need to do is you have to first get super clear about what it is that you want. So if you want, for instance, a new house, you want a home that is large enough for your family, that has open space, that has an acre lot that's next to the mountains, what I want you to do is to really get super clear and detailed about all of the aspects. Imagine what it is like walking around in that home. Imagine what it's like with the tile or the wood floors at your feet, or opening the refrigerator and it's like this awesome, double door that all this amazing food is inside, or going outside and you have this amazing pool and you put your feet in the pool and it's refreshing, or seeing your family eating breakfast together at the dining room table. All those things, the more detailed you can visualize it, the better. So once you have that clarity, then you can start thinking about, okay, I know what this looks like. Now let me experience it and feel it. So what you would do is close your eyes, visualize all these things, and ask yourself, what does it feel like to have these floors underneath me? What does it feel like to open the doors and seeing my beautiful backyard and seeing a mountain in the background? What would it feel like to have my family sitting at the table together, eating breakfast and laughing and enjoying each other's company? Once you tap into that feeling, that's when the magic starts happening. See, feeling is the secret. And so the more that you're able to feel the experience and really experience it here and now, that is what quantum jumping is. That is exactly the technique that all these masters from thousands of years ago are able to shift realities, shift their experience so quickly and manifest at a rapid speed. Now, in order to do this, you have to make sure that you're coming at it from the right mindset. You don't want to come from a place of lack. You want to come from a place of desperation. When you come from those two places, you actually repel. The more that you attract from a place of acceptance and that it's already done, there's not a desperation around it, that's going to make the manifestation come a lot quicker. And it's like this concept that the more detached you are, the more magnetic you are, and the more codependent you are, and the more desperate you are, the more repellent you are. And this is fascinating because it doesn't just work with energy and manifestation, it works with people too. Have you ever noticed that you've been around someone who's super clingy and they're kind of all up in your face and all up in your field, and you're kind of like, yo, you're just way too much for me? You immediately want to repel. And that's the same, the universe works exactly the same way. So the more that you are detached, the more that you're more like nonchalant about it, and just be cool about it, like ultimately, you're like courting the universe. Be cool about it, show that you don't care, and the universe will want to give it to you even quicker. And it's so cool because it's such a fascinating thing that actually works. One thing that really helps too with visualization is thinking about it as like a movie. And the movie concept is so cool because you can just visualize yourself in a theater and you're watching all of these experiences happen right in front of you on the screen, and you're along their journey. You can create a beginning, middle, and end, and you can experience it. And it's such a helpful technique. And all you really need to do is just get comfortable, lay in your bed or sit in a chair and just visualize yourself at a theater. Think about think about the previews, right? What would the previews of your life be? Because you don't have to just have one movie, you can have multiple movies. So what are some other previews? Maybe it's a preview of starting that business, or it's a preview of winning an award, you know what I mean? And then you go into the feature film and then you just have fun with it. And then once you sit there, experience it like you're an audience member. Experience the drama, the emotions, the ups, the downs, the hero's journey of it all. And the more that you can put those kind of detachment to yourself, like I said, the more that you're able to feel it and the universe can insert itself. Another thing I want to mention too is that you do not want to focus on how this is going to happen. You just want to be the witness of it happening. You're not smart enough to understand how it's going to work. It's not your job to. The universe is way smarter than you. So just allow how it wants to show up and just be aware when it does show up. When you see something like a breadcrumb, follow it. If you see something dangling, grab it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be clues throughout your life, and it's going to have to take you to be super perceptive and noticing these things. And that's where a lot of people will drop the ball. They'll ask for all these things, and then something will show up in a way for them, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do it like that. That's not the way I want to do it. And so they completely block it. And then the universe is like, hey, I guess they didn't really want it that bad. So be careful of that aspect of it. Now, I wanted to share an interesting story that happened to me using this technique. So back in, I would say it was 2000, I was still in college. So it was like 2008. And I used to be in art school. And at this time, I was, very insecure. I didn't really know who I was. I didn't know how to be around people. I was very shy. And what I ended up doing is I used to draw these characters, and these characters were kind of like these reflections of all the things that were happening within me. So for instance, one of my main characters, his name was Rat Boy. And Rat Boy was the nickname I had when I was a kid. And Rat Boy's superpower was that he would save everyone else, but didn't know how to save himself. And that was a big part of who I was. I can help other people. I can talk to people, help solve issues, or give them like a perspective to think through. But when it came to myself, I was a hot mess. I had another character named Squid Boy, and he had all these tentacles, and he was codependent, and he was clingy, and he would want to attach to people. And I had a piece that I drew called "You're Just Too Clingy," and his girlfriend is like packed up, leaving the bags, leaving them, and he's just standing there in his tentacles like, why are you leaving me? So yeah, there's a lot of depth into these paintings. So when I started showing these artworks to my friends, they were really resonating. And one of my buddies was like, hey, I'm going to be in an art show. Why don't you be part of it? I can get you in. So then I submitted all my pieces, and I ended up selling out that night. And it was so fascinating. I was like, wow, people are resonating with like what I'm putting out there, what I'm sharing. And so I asked myself, wow, if I can do this in one night, what would happen if I were to create a whole new body of work and get into a bigger gallery? So I thought to myself, what would be like the biggest gallery? What would be something that would be so amazing to do? So I imagined, okay, I want to show in a place in New York City. I want to meet all these amazing artists, and I want to be able to have all my pieces sell out. Plus, I want to meet my art dealer. And the idea of all of that happening was exciting but overwhelming, because it was such a huge shift and a complete difference of who I was and where I was at. I'm just this Florida boy, who's like sad and depressed, and I'm visualizing myself being this artist in New York City. And it seemed like such a huge jump, such a huge leap for myself. But what I ended up doing, and this is where the visualization and the movie started coming in, I remember I took a shower. I was thinking about all the things that I wanted to happen. I got out of the shower, and then I walked around my dorm. I was by myself in a towel with my eyes closed, imagining I was at the gallery in New York City, shaking people's hands, all these amazing artists that I look up to. I remember seeing all of my pieces with the sold tag on them. And then I imagined meeting my art dealer and him being like, let's work together. 2 weeks go by, completely put the idea out of my head. It was, it was fun experiment. I was like, cool, that was great. 2 weeks go by, I get a message, and this is like during MySpace, so it kind of tells you how long ago this was. I get a message on MySpace from this gallery, and they're like, hey, we really love your work. We think that you would be an awesome contribution to this next gallery show that we're having in a couple months. Would you be interested in joining? And I was like, yes, let's do this. And I only had a couple pieces at the time because I sold out the previous show. And so I said yes. I created 8 pieces of artwork. I shipped it. Then me and my brother and my sister, we all drove up to New York City from Florida and went to the gallery opening. And it was so fun. It was so packed. It was everything that I imagined. I met all these amazing people, these artists that I used to look up in magazines and follow online. They were there and I was shaking their hands and I was telling them how much of an influence they had on me. And then that night I met my art dealer. Now, I didn't sell all my artwork that night, but there were so many things happening. I was just like, dude, this is incredible. This is amazing. Then a month later, I'm back in Florida. I get a message from the gallery, thinking, okay, they're going to ship my artwork back and they're going to ask me for my mailing address and all that stuff. And so I open the message and they're like, hey, Jonathan, just wanted you to know we had our closing last night and we had one of our patrons buy all of your artwork. So one person came in and bought everything. So even though it wasn't the opening, it was the closing, and I completely sold out. And it was so amazing for that to happen. And I knew that this is real, this works, and it's not that hard to do. And I got a thumbs up. All right, that's a thing. So I thought I wanted to share that story because it was such an impactful experience for me. And I experienced this firsthand. And ever since then, I've been using that method all the time. And it's been working ever since. Whether it was, finding a new job, moving to Arizona from Florida, even finding my wife. All of this was all quantum jumped. And so it's really, really cool. So in order to do quantum jumping, like I said, you got to come at it with the right mindset. You got to come at it with the lack of desperation. You don't want any kind of desperation. You don't want any kind of expectations, like this needs to happen, because like I said, you will repel it. You want to visualize, you want to feel it into existence, and you want to be able to have this world coexist with your own by believing that it's already done. So thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you. I had a lot of fun tapping into this subject. And if you do want to learn more about quantum jumping, look up Burt Goldman. He's like the grandfather of this stuff. It's really fascinating. Also look up Neville Goddard, all those old school guys, cybernetics, super fascinating stuff. You want to dive deeper into it. But thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. Make sure to like, to subscribe, to do all the things to help my channel grow, because if I don't get any interactions, then no one sees my stuff. So if you can support me in that way, that would be huge for me. So thanks again. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.